You're fired, and your pathetic delivery boy husband can't save you," the arrogant manager screamed. He ruthlessly threw her files on the floor, humiliating her in front of the entire office. But he had no idea that the poor husband he was mocking was actually a ruthless billionaire who had just bought the entire company. In this video, watch how a loyal wife endures a living hell, framed by toxic coworkers and preyed upon by a monstrous boss. But just when she hits rock bottom, her secret billionaire husband steps out of the shadows to unleash the ultimate ruthless revenge. If you love seeing arrogant bullies get completely destroyed and karma hitting back hard, hit that subscribe button right now and watch until the very end. You won't believe how satisfying this CEO's punishment is. Let's get into it.
The atmosphere inside the Sterling Corporation office was suffocating. Heavy, toxic, and dripping with unspoken malice. Bridget stood by her desk, her fingers trembling slightly as she packed her personal belongings into a cheap cardboard box. Just a few minutes ago, she was the top-performing agent in the entire department, a woman who worked 14-hour shifts to secure the biggest accounts. But in a toxic workplace, hard work is often rewarded with betrayal. "Hurry it up, Bridget. You're polluting the air conditioning," Diana sneered, swirling her iced latte. Diana, the undisputed queen of office gossip, a woman who spent more time reapplying her lipstick than actually looking at spreadsheets. She leaned against the water cooler, flashing a venomous smirk at the rest of the whispering employees. They were like a pack of wolves, cornering the weakest link. But the real monster wasn't Diana. It was the man stepping out of the glass-walled corner office, Blaze. The arrogant, slick-haired manager who wore overpowering cologne and cheap suits he pretended were designer. He slammed a thick stack of files onto a nearby desk. The loud thud made everyone jump, except Bridget. She just closed her eyes, trying to hold back the tears of humiliation. "I said pack your trash and get out." Blaze's voice boomed across the silent floor. "You're fired, Bridget. Terminated. Finished. You've crossed the line for the last time." Bridget finally looked up. Her eyes were red, but her voice was remarkably steady. "I didn't forge those numbers, Blaze. You did. I found the hidden accounts." A flash of pure panic crossed Blaze's face, quickly replaced by explosive rage. He marched toward her, pointing a stubby finger right at her face. "Are you calling me a liar? Me? The regional director?" He let out a harsh, theatrical laugh. "Who is going to believe a low-level assistant over me?" He leaned in close, the smell of peppermints and malice radiating from him. "You think you're so smart, refusing my generous offers? You think that pathetic, broke delivery boy you call a husband can save you now?" The entire office erupted in snickers. Diana laughed the loudest. The truth was, everyone in the office looked down on Bridget for marrying for true love instead of money. In their shallow minds, a romantic drama was pointless unless the man was driving a Porsche. And Leon drove a battered delivery van, or so they thought. "Don't you dare bring Leon into this," Bridget whispered, her fists clenching so hard her knuckles turned white. "Oh, I'll bring him into it," Blaze shouted, playing to his audience. "Your loser husband can't even afford to buy you a decent handbag. What is he going to do? Deliver me a pizza out of revenge?" He violently knocked the cardboard box out of Bridget's hands. Pens, family photos, and her favorite coffee mug shattered across the cold marble floor. "Get out. No one in this city will ever hire you again. You are nothing." Bridget stared at the broken pieces of her favorite mug, the one Leon had bought her for their anniversary. The dam broke. A single tear rolled down her cheek. The office fell silent, not out of pity but out of cruel satisfaction. And then, the elevator doors at the end of the hallway chimed. It wasn't the usual soft ding. It felt heavy, ominous. The heavy oak doors to the main floor were violently pushed open. 4 towering men stepped in. They were dressed in immaculate black suits, earpieces curled tightly around their ears. Elite bodyguards. They didn't speak. They simply fanned out, creating a clear, undeniable path. The smug smiles on Diana and Blaze's faces froze. The oppressive air in the room suddenly turned freezing cold. Heavy, measured footsteps echoed against the marble. Step, step, step. A man walked through the parted bodyguards. It was Leon. But this wasn't the Leon who wore faded jeans and smiled warmly over cheap takeout dinners. This man was draped in a bespoke, midnight blue 3-piece suit that screamed old money and absolute power. His jawline was sharp, his posture commanding. He exuded the terrifying aura of a ruthless CEO, a secret billionaire husband who had finally stepped out of the shadows. In his right hand, he held a thick leather binder. On top of it, stamped in brilliant, aggressive red ink, was a single word: acquired. The entire floor stopped breathing. Blaze's face drained of color. He had seen this man's face on the cover of Forbes magazine just yesterday, the mysterious heir to the global Vanguard Empire. "Oh my God," Diana gasped, dropping her latte. The plastic cup burst, spilling brown liquid everywhere, but she couldn't tear her eyes away. Blaze's knees literally buckled. His arrogant swagger evaporated, replaced by the pathetic trembling of a coward. He practically tripped over his own feet, rushing forward, bowing so low his nose almost touched the floor. "Mr. Chairman," Blaze stuttered, sweating profusely. We had no idea you were inspecting the branch today. We would have prepared a proper welcome for—" Leon didn't even look at him. He didn't acknowledge Blaze's existence. The undercover boss walked straight past the groveling manager, his dark eyes locked solely on the woman standing by the scattered pens and broken coffee mug. Bridget stared at him, her lips parted in utter disbelief. "Leon?" she whispered. Leon's ruthless, icy expression instantly melted. The dangerous predator vanished, leaving only the man who loved her more than life itself. He reached out, his large, warm hand gently wiping the tear from her cheek. He pulled her into his chest, shielding her from the stares of the room. He kissed the top of her head. "I'm sorry I'm late, sweetheart," he murmured softly. Then, Leon slowly turned his head. The warmth vanished. The icy, unforgiving gaze of a billionaire titan returned, focusing with deadly precision on Blaze. The silence in the room was deafening. Leon's voice was low, smooth, and laced with absolute venom. "Who gave you permission to fire my wife 3 months earlier?" To understand the wrath of a secret billionaire husband, you must first understand the hell his wife endured. Welcome to the Sterling Corporation, a snake pit of a toxic workplace disguised as a high-end corporate office. Here, talent didn't get you promoted. Office politics did. Bridget was the golden goose. She arrived at 7 a.m. sharp, fueled by cheap diner coffee, and left long after the city lights turned on. She single-handedly secured 3 major contracts in a single quarter. She was brilliant, relentless, and deeply in love with her delivery driver husband, Leon. But in a shark tank, bleeding hard work only attracts predators. Enter Diana, the ringleader of the office mean girls. Diana's biggest daily achievement was successfully pairing her Prada heels with her manicured nails. She spent her days scrolling through luxury catalogs and plotting. She couldn't stand Bridget. She couldn't stand that a woman who wore faded skirts and packed her own lunches was outperforming everyone on the floor. "Look at her typing away like a little rat," Diana whispered to her clique, loud enough for Bridget to hear. The group of junior analysts giggled, sipping their overpriced matcha lattes. They had formed a unified front, a wolf pack determined to push Bridget out. Jealousy is a disease, and the entire department was infected. They started small, forgetting to CC Bridget on crucial client emails, accidentally spilling water on her printed reports. But last month, the office drama escalated into full-blown corporate sabotage. It was the day of the Horizon Project pitch. A $1 million account Bridget had spent 4 sleepless nights preparing for. 10 minutes before the presentation, Bridget opened her laptop in the boardroom. The screen was blank. Every single file, every slide, every financial projection, deleted. Panic seized her throat. She looked up, desperate. Through the glass wall, she saw Diana holding a flash drive, smirking like a demon who had just won a soul. Blaze, their arrogant manager, walked in. Did he investigate the missing files? Did he support his top employee? No. Blaze simply handed the floor to Diana, and Diana, using Bridget's stolen slides, gave a flawless presentation, taking 100% of the credit. "Brilliant work, Diana," Blaze praised loudly after the clients left. He threw a disgusting, calculating glance at Bridget. Some people just can't handle the pressure of the big leagues. Bridget bit her lip so hard she tasted blood. She needed this job. She needed the paycheck to cover the mortgage she and Leon had just taken out on their tiny apartment. And then it got worse. Lunchtime arrived. Through the torrential rain crashing against the office windows, a battered delivery scooter pulled up to the main entrance. It was Leon. He was completely drenched, his cheap yellow raincoat dripping water onto the pristine lobby floor. But in his hands, carefully shielded from the rain, was a warm thermos of homemade soup. He smiled brightly when he saw Bridget, wiping his wet hair from his eyes. Bridget rushed to him, her heart aching. "Leon, you didn't have to come in this storm. I know you didn't have time to cook this morning, honey. You need to eat," he said, his voice deep, warm, and full of genuine love. Suddenly, the shrill, mocking voice of Diana echoed through the lobby. "Oh, look, everyone. The delivery boy is here. Did you bring extra napkins, buddy?" The entire wolf pack descended, surrounding Bridget and Leon like vultures. "Is that your husband, Bridget? Seriously?" One of the analysts sneered. "My God, I thought you were joking. He smells like cheap gasoline and onions." "Hey, delivery guy," Diana taunted, stepping impossibly close to Leon in her designer heels. "Do you know your wife works with $1 million accounts while you play in the puddles for pennies?" Bridget stepped in front of Leon, her eyes blazing with fury. "Back off, Diana, now!" But Leon just gently squeezed Bridget's shoulder. He didn't look angry. In fact, he looked at Diana with an expression of cold, detached amusement. The kind of look a lion gives a very noisy, very stupid mouse. He didn't say a word. He just handed Bridget the soup, kissed her forehead, and walked back out into the rain. What the mocking crowd didn't know was that Leon wasn't worried about pennies. He was busy calculating exactly how many minutes it would take to legally dismantle this entire building. Watching from the mezzanine balcony, Blaze sipped his scotch, a sinister smile creeping onto his face. He saw Bridget's isolation. He saw her desperation. To a predator like Blaze, a vulnerable, isolated woman with a loser husband was the perfect target. He decided right then and there. He wasn't just going to steal her work, he was going to force her to be his pawn, or he would destroy her completely. Friday evening, 8 p.m. The toxic workplace had finally emptied out, leaving behind a heavy, suffocating silence. Bridget sat alone at her cubicle, her eyes red from staring at spreadsheets, trying to rebuild the data Diana had stolen. Suddenly, the intercom on her desk buzzed. It was a sharp, grating sound. "Bridget, my office. Now." Blaze's voice oozed through the speaker. She took a deep breath, smoothing down her faded skirt. She expected another reprimand, another theft of her hard work. But what waited behind that glass door was infinitely worse. Blaze's office was a shrine to fake wealth. Knockoff leather sofas, empty bottles of expensive champagne on display, and the overpowering stench of cheap musk cologne. He was leaning against his mahogany desk, unbuttoning the top of his shirt, swirling a glass of amber liquid. "You look exhausted, Bridget," he purred, his eyes raking up and down her body in a way that made her skin crawl. "I'm just finishing the quarterly projections, sir. Is there something you need?" she asked, keeping her distance, her voice strictly professional. Blaze chuckled, setting his glass down. He took a slow, predatory step towards her. "What I need is for you to stop being so stubborn. You're bleeding for this company, and what do you get? Mockery. Humiliation." He stepped closer. Bridget instinctively took a step back, her back hitting the cold glass wall of the office. "I see how they treat you. I see how they laugh at that pathetic delivery boy you call a husband. He can't protect you in the real world, Bridget." "Don't talk about Leon," Bridget snapped, her voice trembling with suppressed anger. "Our true love is something a man like you could never understand." "True love?" Blaze sneered, practically spitting the words. "True love doesn't pay the rent. Power does. Money does." He trapped her against the glass, placing a heavy hand on the wall right next to her head. His breath reeked of alcohol and peppermint. "I can make you a queen here, Bridget. Ditch the loser, be my girl. Under my protection, Diana won't dare look at you. I'll double your salary." Bridget's stomach churned violently. "Are you out of your mind? Let me go." "Listen to me," Blaze hissed, grabbing her wrist tightly. "I have a special project. VIP clients. I need someone smart to adjust the numbers. Make some ghost accounts. We split $1 million. Just say yes, and you're mine." He was asking her to commit massive corporate fraud. He wanted her to be his accomplice, his pawn, and his mistress. Disgust fueled a sudden burst of adrenaline. "Get your filthy hands off me!" Bridget screamed. With all her strength, she shoved him hard in the chest. Blaze, caught off guard and slightly drunk, stumbled backward. He crashed into his mahogany desk. A stack of thick, confidential folders toppled over, spilling their contents all across the expensive rug. "You stupid bitch," Blaze roared, rubbing his hip. But Bridget wasn't listening. Her eyes were locked on a specific file that had slid right to the tip of her shoes. It wasn't a corporate document. It was a legal draft. A divorce settlement. Tucked inside the folder were several photographs. They completely shattered Blaze's illusion of being a high-society bachelor. The photos showed a rundown, dilapidated farmhouse in a remote rural town. Standing on the porch was a tired, prematurely aged woman, wearing tattered clothes, holding a crying toddler, with a skinny boy hiding behind her legs. The name on the divorce papers was clear: Blaze Harrison versus Martha Harrison. He wasn't a rich playboy. He was a deadbeat husband. A monster who abandoned his starving family in the countryside to fund his fake, flashy lifestyle in the city. "You," Bridget whispered, picking up a photo of the crying child. Her disgust turned into pure, fiery contempt. "You have a wife and children. You leave them in poverty while you wear fake Rolexes and harass women in your office?" Blaze's face went deadly pale. The secret he had guarded with his life, the truth that would ruin his image and career, was exposed. "Give that back," he hissed, lunging for the papers. Bridget sidestepped him, her eyes flashing with defiance. The timid, overworked assistant was gone. "You're pathetic, Blaze. You look down on my husband because he drives a delivery van. Leon is 100 times the man you will ever be. He has honor. You are nothing but a cheap fraud. Blaze stood breathing heavily, his fists clenched, staring at her with eyes full of venom and fear. I am going to the board of directors first thing Monday morning, Bridget declared, her voice ringing clear and strong. I will expose your fake accounts, your embezzlement, and your disgusting propositions. You are finished. She turned on her heel and stormed out of the office, the sound of her cheap shoes clicking loudly against the hardwood floor. Blaze stood alone in the ruins of his scattered secrets. His hands shook, not with fear, but with murderous rage. If Bridget went to the board, he wouldn't just lose his job. He would go to federal prison. He picked up his phone, his eyes narrowing into dark slits. He scrolled through his contacts and hit dial. Diana, he whispered into the receiver, watching Bridget's silhouette disappear down the hallway. I need a favor. We need to completely destroy Bridget. Before Monday. The trap was set. But little did Blaze know, by trying to crush Bridget, he was about to awaken a sleeping dragon. Her secret billionaire husband, Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. Bridget walked into the Sterling Corporation, with her head held high. She clutched a sealed manila envelope in her hands. Inside it was the evidence. The ghost accounts, the embezzled funds, and the proof of Blaze's double life. She was going straight to the board of directors. But in a toxic workplace, the villains don't play fair. They strike from the shadows. As soon as Bridget stepped onto the main floor, the atmosphere felt dead, unnaturally quiet. Every single employee was standing by their desks, their eyes locked on her. It wasn't the usual office drama. It felt like a public execution. Standing in the center of the room, flanked by 2 burly security guards, was Blaze. Next to him stood Diana, holding a tablet and trying to hide a sinister, victorious smirk. Bridget! Blaze's voice boomed. It wasn't angry. It was dripping with fake, theatrical disappointment. Step away from your desk. Bridget froze. What is going on, Blaze? I have a meeting with the board. You won't be meeting anyone, Blaze interrupted, his voice turning lethal. He turned to the entire office. Ladies and gentlemen, over the weekend, our cybersecurity team detected a massive data breach. Highly classified client portfolios were downloaded and emailed to a competitor. Whispers erupted across the room like wildfire. Corporate espionage was a federal crime. Blaze pointed a dramatic finger right at Bridget's chest. And the IP address logs traced directly back to your computer, Bridget. Bridget's blood ran cold. The manila envelope in her hands felt suddenly heavy. That's a lie. I wasn't even here this weekend. You're framing me because I found out about your... Save your pathetic lies, Blaze roared, completely talking over her. He couldn't let her say another word. He gestured to Diana. Diana, tell them what you saw on Friday night. Diana stepped forward, putting on an Oscar-worthy performance of a concerned, innocent colleague. I was working late on Friday, Diana lied, looking down nervously. I saw Bridget sneak into Mr. Harrison's office. I thought it was weird. Later, I saw her plugging a red USB drive into her computer, furiously copying files. I didn't want to believe she was stealing from us, but she let the sentence hang in the air. The perfect poisonous bait. And the wolf pack swallowed it whole. You lying snake! Bridget screamed, lunging toward Diana. But the 2 security guards grabbed Bridget's arms, holding her back roughly. Let go of me. She has my spare keys. She used my computer. Bridget pleaded, looking frantically at her coworkers. The people she had helped train, the people she had covered shifts for. Please, you know me. You know I would never do this. But the office stared back with cold, unforgiving eyes. Jealousy had blinded them. They wanted to see the golden girl fall. Always knew she was a fraud, one analyst muttered. Probably needs the money to support that loser husband of hers, another whispered loudly. Blaze walked up to Bridget, so close she could smell the peppermint masking the alcohol on his breath. He snatched the manila envelope from her hands. He didn't even open it. He just calmly fed it directly into the heavy-duty paper shredder next to the reception desk. Bizizist. The sound of the blades chewing up Bridget's only proof filled the room. The truth, torn into 1,000 meaningless pieces. Oops. Looks like you dropped some garbage, Bridget, Blaze whispered, a psychotic glint in his eye. He stepped back and addressed the room again, his voice rising to a furious crescendo. You are a thief, Bridget. A manipulative, greedy thief. He grabbed a cardboard box and threw it violently at her feet. I said, pack your trash and get out, he shouted, pointing a stubby finger right at her face. You're fired, terminated, finished. Bridget's knees trembled. The sheer injustice of it all felt like a physical weight crushing her chest. She looked at the cruel, mocking faces surrounding her. You think you're so smart? Blaze sneered, delivering the final, brutal blow. You think that pathetic, broke delivery boy you call a husband can save you now? What is he going to do? Deliver me a pizza out of revenge? He violently knocked the cardboard box out of Bridget's hands. Pens, family photos, and her favorite coffee mug shattered across the cold marble floor. Get out. No one in this city will ever hire you again. You are nothing. The office erupted in cruel laughter. The trap had snapped shut. Bridget was completely, utterly destroyed. But as she stood there, a single tear rolling down her cheek. The heavy oak doors to the main floor were violently pushed open. 4 towering men in immaculate black suits stepped in. Elite bodyguards. And behind them, stepping out of the shadows, was a man draped in a bespoke midnight blue suit, holding a blood-red acquired contract. The undercover boss had arrived. The game was over. While Bridget was facing hell in that toxic workplace, her poor husband was sitting at the absolute apex of the world. Leon was never a delivery boy. That battered yellow scooter, a prop, the cheap raincoat, a carefully chosen disguise. In reality, Leon was the sole heir and ruthless CEO of the Vanguard Empire, a multi-billion-dollar syndicate that controlled half the city's economy. Why the elaborate disguise? It's simple. In a world full of gold diggers and fake smiles, Leon wanted one thing money couldn't easily buy: true love. He wanted a woman who would share a $10 takeout meal with him and smile like it was a Michelin star feast. Bridget was that woman. She was pure, fiercely loyal, and his absolute world. To the secret billionaire husband, she wasn't just a wife. She was his queen. It was 8:45 a.m. Leon was sitting in the back of his custom-built, armored Maybach, effortlessly finalizing a $3 billion merger on his tablet. He was dressed in a bespoke midnight blue suit, his aura screaming absolute power. Suddenly, the privacy screen lowered. His chief of security, Marcus, turned around from the front seat. Marcus was an ex-Special Forces operative, a man who managed war zones for a living. But right now, he looked nervous. "Boss," Marcus said, handing over an encrypted tablet. "We have a critical situation at the Sterling Corporation. It's regarding the madam." Leon's fingers stopped typing. The temperature inside the luxurious car seemed to instantly drop below freezing. He took the tablet. It was a live feed from a hidden micro-camera worn by an elite bodyguard planted undercover in Bridget's office building. Leon watched the screen in dead silence. He saw the trap. He saw Blaze framing his wife for corporate espionage. He saw the vicious pack of coworkers turning against her like rabid dogs. He heard Diana's venomous lies. He watched Blaze arrogantly shred Bridget's only evidence, the proof of his own disgusting embezzlement and double life. But what truly shattered Leon's iron control wasn't the fake accusations. It was seeing Blaze violently knock the cardboard box out of Bridget's hands. He saw the coffee mug he had bought her for their anniversary shatter on the cold floor. He saw the single, helpless tear roll down his wife's cheek. Through the tablet's speakers, Blaze's mocking voice echoed, "What is he going to do? Deliver me a pizza out of revenge?" Leon didn't scream. He didn't smash the tablet. His reaction was far more terrifying. The warm, loving eyes of a husband vanished completely. They were replaced by the merciless, obsidian gaze of a predatory titan. The undercover boss was done playing the poor man, Marcus. Leon's voice was barely a whisper, yet it carried the heavy, suffocating weight of a death sentence. "Who owns the Sterling Corporation?" "It belongs to a subsidiary holding group, sir. It's a very minor asset." "Buy it," Leon commanded without blinking. "Buy the holding group. Buy the building. Buy the damn air they breathe." "Sir, I want a hostile takeover completed immediately, and I want the acquisition contract in my hands in exactly 3 minutes." "Understood, boss. At what price limit?" Leon's jaw clenched. "I don't care if it costs 10 times the market value. Liquidate whatever assets you have to. Just get me that company now." The Maybach's engine let out a deafening roar. It tore through the city traffic like a black bullet, completely ignoring red lights, followed closely by a convoy of heavily armored SUVs. Inside the luxury cabin, a portable encrypted printer whirred to life. 2 minutes and 45 seconds later, Marcus handed Leon a thick leather binder. On top of the documents, stamped in brilliant, aggressive red ink, was a single word: acquired. Leon adjusted his diamond cufflinks. He looked down at the simple gold wedding band on his finger. It was the cheapest thing he wore, yet the most valuable thing he owned in this universe. Blaze Harrison thought he was a king ruling over his pathetic little office. He thought he could crush a vulnerable woman and face no consequences. He was about to learn a very painful lesson. You do not touch a billionaire's wife. Screech. The entire convoy slammed on its brakes, forming a barricade right in front of the Sterling Corporation's glass entrance. Doors flew open. A dozen elite bodyguards poured out, securing the perimeter in a matter of seconds. People on the street stopped and stared in awe. Leon stepped out of the Maybach. The cold wind whipped the edges of his bespoke coat. He didn't walk. He marched toward the front doors like a god of war descending upon a battlefield. It was time to deliver the ultimate sweet revenge. "Who gave you permission to fire my wife?" Leon's voice wasn't a shout. It was a low, lethal whisper that sent shockwaves of pure terror through the room. Blaze's brain short-circuited. He looked at Bridget, then back at the ruthless billionaire CEO standing before him. "Wife?" Blaze stuttered, his arrogant facade crumbling into pathetic pieces. "Mr. Chairman, there must be a misunderstanding. She's married to a broke delivery boy." "I am the delivery boy," Leon said, his eyes darkening. "And as of 3 minutes ago, I am also your boss." Leon casually tossed the thick leather binder onto the nearest desk. The blood-red acquired stamp stared Blaze right in the face. But she's a thief," Blaze cried out desperately, pointing a trembling finger at Bridget. "She stole company data. Diana saw her. We were just protecting the company." Leon let out a dark, chilling laugh. He snapped his fingers. Marcus, the massive chief of security, stepped forward. He didn't carry a cardboard box. He carried a steel briefcase. Marcus slammed the briefcase open onto the desk. Hundreds of high-resolution photos, Bank statements and printed emails spilled out. "You shredded her evidence," Leon said, stepping closer to Blaze, forcing the manager to cower. "But you forgot one detail. Vanguard Empire owns the cybersecurity grid for this entire district." Leon picked up a document and threw it at Blaze's chest. "I have every keystroke you and Diana typed. I have the IP logs proving Diana framed my wife. And more importantly," Leon leaned in, his aura terrifyingly heavy, "I have the exact routing numbers for the $2 million you embezzled from the VIP accounts." Blaze collapsed to his knees, the sound of a man completely broken. Diana shrieked, dropping her tablet. She tried to slowly back away toward the emergency exit, tears ruining her expensive makeup. "Stop right there," Leon commanded, without even looking at her. Two bodyguards instantly blocked Diana's path. "Diana," Leon's voice was like ice. "You wanted to play corporate politics? Fine. You and everyone in this room who participated in bullying my wife are fired." The wolf pack gasped in horror. "Don't bother packing," Leon continued. "You will leave with nothing. And as of today, you are all permanently blacklisted from every financial institution on this continent. Enjoy flipping burgers." In the distance, the wailing sound of police sirens echoed through the city streets. They were getting closer. "Mr. Chairman, please," Blaze begged, grabbing the hem of Leon's trousers. "I'll give the money back. Have mercy." Leon kicked Blaze away with a look of pure disgust. "Mercy is for the innocent. You tried to force my wife to be your mistress. For that alone, I will make sure you never see daylight again." The elevator doors opened. A squad of police officers marched onto the floor, pulling out their handcuffs. "Take this garbage away," Leon ordered. As the police dragged a screaming, crying Blaze toward the elevators, Leon delivered the ultimate sweet revenge. "Oh, one more thing, Blaze," Leon called out. "My elite legal team visited your wife, Martha, in the countryside this morning. We took her case pro bono." Blaze froze, his eyes widening in sheer panic. "She has full custody. She has frozen all your hidden assets. She is taking everything you own. You are going to federal prison with absolutely nothing." The elevator doors slammed shut on Blaze's agonizing scream. Karma had finally collected its debt. The room emptied instantly. Diana and the toxic coworkers were escorted out by security, weeping and humiliated. Finally, the chaos faded. The silence returned, but this time it was peaceful. Leon turned around. The ruthless billionaire vanished, and the loving, devoted husband returned. He walked over to Bridget, who was standing frozen, her mind struggling to process everything. "Leon, you own Vanguard," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Why did you pretend to be poor?" Leon gently held her hands. "Because in my world, everyone loves my money. I wanted a woman who would love me for me. Even if I had nothing but a battered delivery van and a $10 dinner." He wiped away her tears. "You stayed by my side when you thought I was a loser. You fought for our true love against the whole world. You are my queen, Bridget." Bridget threw her arms around his neck, burying her face in his chest. "I don't care about the money. I just love you." Leon smiled, wrapping his bespoke coat around her shoulders to keep her warm. He turned to Marcus, who was standing respectfully by the door. "Marcus, prepare the executive suite." Leon looked down at Bridget and kissed her forehead. "No more early shifts, no more toxic bosses. Meet the new CEO of the Sterling Corporation."
Karma never misses an address. Blaze thought his fake power and stolen money gave him the right to crush the innocent. But he forgot one golden rule. Never judge a man by his clothes, and never underestimate a woman's unwavering loyalty. True love triumphed, and the toxic wolves of the office lost absolutely everything. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you do if you were in Bridget's shoes? Would you have shown any mercy to Blaze and Diana, or would you destroy them, just like Leon did? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If this sweet revenge made your day, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to Billionaire Love Stories, and turn on the notification bell. Stay tuned for more satisfying drama and epic billionaire romance. See you next time.